Hi everyone, I'm Angry Bill and this is Pre-Hospital Wisdom. I want to take a minute and explain who I am and what I have in mind for this pre-hospital wisdom thing. Should you listen to me or should you just send hate in the comment section? Let me first explain that I'm a paramedic and an educator. I'm not a video editor or a documentarian or a graphic designer. So you should hold me responsible for good EMS content, but lower your expectations as to presentation. Anyway, I got into EMS by going to college for photography. My plan was to be a photojournalist who specialized in wars and riots and danger photography with a tan vest that has a bunch of pockets and a bunch of shady contacts all around the world. One assignment for the college I was attending was to set up a slideshow to music that told a story. For that, I spent the day with the Lowry Air Force Base Fire Department. In hindsight, they were either maniacs or badasses. They showed up to work, found an 18-year-old kid with a camera, and said, "What the hell? Let's light the burn tower and put him in it." On that day, I learned a few lessons. First, there's no such thing as a light piece of firefighting equipment. Second, photography in an interior fire is almost impossible without specialized lighting. The contrast between the darkness and the fire is too much for the film. On top of that, as soon as the wet stuff hits the hot stuff, steam takes over all the pictures. Finally, and most importantly for me at 18, chicks dig firefighters. So I was sold on becoming a firefighter instead of a photographer. In order to become a firefighter, I discovered that I needed to take an EMT class. So I signed up for the class, but I knew that I would not like it. To my mind, I was an elderly and wise, 20 years old by then. This was just something that I had to do. Silly rules were forcing me to take an EMT class. You could make me take the class, but you wouldn't be able to make me actually enjoy anything about medicine. Being an EMT would only get in the way of fighting the demon. I'd seen Backdraft. I knew what was up. I was only taking the EMT class to increase my chances of being hired as a firefighter. But once I was in the class, I actually found that I actually liked EMS. And in hindsight, I was funny. I came out of EMT class thinking that I was ready to save some lives. I had all of the knowledge. So it actually took a year for me to accept my first EMT job. Could you believe that people wanted someone with my vast EMS knowledge and incredible skills to begin in an entry-level job like wheelchair van driver? One way or the other, I finally found that first EMT job in early 1997. I dispatched for a small suburban ambulance company that transported for the local ALS fire department. After a few months, I moved to the wheelchair van, and after a few months of that, I moved to an ambulance with a paramedic partner. It was a great place to learn EMS skills and knowledge. I found that EMT class did not especially prepare me for the work expected of an ambulance EMT. It was my first partners who taught me what I needed to know. I would not have had the success I had found in my career without those first partners who cared enough to teach an EMT. Columbine shout out, y'all know who you are. A few major lessons from that time were that riding backwards on a fire truck wasn't as nice as being in the heated front seat of an ambulance, in control of the music coming out of the stereo. I also learned that I preferred EMS to firefighting. And finally, I found that I'm personally not a fan of working on the transport ambulance for a non-transporting ALS fire department. That on-the-job training is one that is important in my career. I think it's crucial in EMS, as a matter of fact. I call it the chain of EMS. An EMT or a paramedic can learn anything from a class or from a textbook, but it's the culture of the place that they work that teaches them. It is the older, more experienced providers that mold him or her as a medic or EMT. I learned from people who learned from Dr. Gordon. He's my EMT grandfather. I've taught people who have taught people who have taught people. There are paramedics beginning their career right now who are my EMS children and others who are my EMS great-grandchildren. That's so incredible. It's amazing to see how paramedics can graduate from paramedic school and be teaching new paramedics within a year of graduating. It's a medicine thing. You see it in residency and such. I don't think it exists to that extent in other fields. The chain of EMS is awesome. We'll get back to that. Anyway, I went to paramedic school in 1998, so I had spent about 2 years as a working EMT. In 1999, as the suburban ALS fire department began to transport and the call volume of my company fell, I was hired by the Denver Health Paramedic Division. Between then and now, I've worked in every position outside of chief for at least one shift. I've also worked in every duty assignment, including as a field trainer, dispatcher, airport medic, Thames medic, bike medic, and so on. I was also a lieutenant for about a week, a QA coordinator, and a captain. I've worked a shift on the detox van. I've taught EKG classes for the last 20 years or so, along with other EMS-related topics. More importantly, I've made every mistake possible for a paramedic to make, either on calls, career choices, partner choices, and so on. I can top any embarrassing story you have. You have nothing on my fuck-ups, I guarantee. Thinking back, I've run almost every kind of call that can be run in Colorado. That is to say, I haven't run a jellyfish envenomation. I'm in Colorado, dude. Give me a break. And you can't get too specific. I've run large animal maulings, but I haven't run a bear attack, let alone a bear attack on a Tuesday during a full moon. But I've seen attacks by dogs, cats, deer, mountain lions, and so on. I've even ran a pig bite once. So thinking back on my career, the only calls that I haven't run are a lightning strike and a rattlesnake bite. It's weird to think that I've run on about 10 or 12,000 calls. Lightning strikes aren't all that uncommon here. And I've run electrocuted patients. And I've almost been hit by lightning a few times myself. But I've never found myself caring for a patient that was actually hit by lightning. The way calls fall can be weird sometimes. By the way, I'm waiting for a scuba diver cleaning the tanks at the downtown aquarium to be bitten by a shark. I really, really want to run the first shark attack in Denver. Realizing that EMS secretly stands for Earn Money Studying, I earned a bachelor's degree in history while sitting in the front seat of an ambulance. I picked history because I like history and chemistry, but the history degree was easier than the chemistry degree. After that, I earned a master's degree in public administration with a concentration in emergency management. The MPA degree is the closest that I could get to a master's in paramedicine. I think it probably helped me to get a position as one of the captains for the Denver paramedics, and I held that position for 4 or 5 years. My job was to function as the division QA coordinator and manage the division's operational data reporting, assist in research projects, and that kind of thing. It was an advanced course in EMS administration. The nicest thing about that job was that I was involved in most of the decisions made by the agency's management, due to my role as the reporter of the operational data. I could also manage the clinical quality assurance with the point of view of a 10-plus year paramedic. Finally, it was phenomenal to work closely with the medical directors to understand their point of view on a day-to-day basis. After that chunk of office time, I felt that I needed a break. I was beginning to hate office work and really missed working as a street medic. So I made the hard choice to demote. As an aside, is it a demotion to street paramedic or is it a promotion? At that point, you could have easily convinced me that the street medic job was the better deal. It was a promotion. Anyway, it was the best decision I've made in a long time. I find myself happy, engaged, challenged, and content. After about 5 more years on the streets of Denver, I made another great decision. I left the Denver paramedics for a position with the Eagle County paramedics in the mountains of Colorado. My main job now is to exercise professional muscles unused to rural settings and long transport times. This job has interfacility transfers and critical care medicine as well. I'm happy to work in such a great system. I love the people I work with, and I still teach at Denver Health. I have even been toying with the idea of going back part-time to the city. Although my life is pretty fulfilling, I miss being able to help other paramedics in their careers. I miss the chain of EMS that we talked about a few minutes ago. Not to sound immodest, but there aren't many paramedics with master's degrees who have run the call volume that I have, plus experience in administrative, urban, suburban, rural, and critical care EMS. I feel like it's my obligation to pay back the paramedics who touched my career by helping others. As a field trainer, I can only help one medic at a time. Through this channel, I can communicate with as many people as who watch a video. My personal EMS chain will potentially have dozens or even scores of links. The overall idea of pre-hospital wisdom is to make paramedics and EMTs better, from the point of view that there's a specific skill set and knowledge base that pre-hospital providers have. All medical providers have a lot in common, whether it be physicians, nurses, PAs, medics, or whatever. Medicine is medicine. Pneumonia is pneumonia, and a STEMI is a STEMI. But I don't know how to operate as an ED nurse. An emergency physician will be out of his or her comfort zone if they're doing their job in a filthy living room instead of a clean exam room. Medics and EMTs are special, but they fit into this big umbrella of emergency medicine. I would like to offer my thoughts to providers that may not have had a mentor. I would like to open the ideas of an ED nurse to what we do. I'd like to show how I take emergency physician level knowledge and apply it upside down on the side of a road. Paramedics and EMTs do indeed operate in the emergency medicine system, but the skills, knowledge, and requirements of the job make us special. Not junior partners, not dilettantes. We're professionals, not just people too dumb to pass an MCAT. So I hope this all helps you, even if only to think about a topic more deeply than you would otherwise would have. Enjoy. Let me know what you think. Reach out. Let me know what you want me to talk about or cover. I have a bunch of ideas. Short rants like your trainer would give you on the way out of the hospital, more instruction as to how medics handle situations, interviews with interesting EMS providers, gear reviews, discussions of EMS-related topics. Let me know what you like and what you want to see more of. Plan on 1 or 2 videos a week. Until next time, stay safe. Angry Bill out.